Good morning. This is the public hearing of the Board of Health for the town of Shrewsbury. Today is September 25th, and this is 8:04 a.m. Welcome to the Shrewsbury's Board of Health public hearing to review and act on the 65 Prospect Street Mountain View Cemetery expansion project for the town of Shrewsbury. We appreciate you taking the time to be here. This time, I'd like to invite a representative from the BSC Group to the table to provide a summary of the project.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ricardo Ostrich. I'm the Director of Landscape Architecture for BSC Group and Assistant Project Manager for the project. With me here this morning is Nick Rinaldi, the BSC Group Senior Civil Engineer from the Boston office, who was involved in much of significant parts of the project. This project and the proposal for this project is to expand Mountain View Cemetery to 19 acres as shown. I could share my slides if you'd like, or I could just continue with my verbal presentation. But what we propose to do, somebody can't hear. Can everybody else hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So what the proposal is to have 19 acres of the site converted to cemetery use under the Massachusetts general laws. The town of Shrewsbury is seeking the Board of Health approval for the proposed use of land adjacent to Prospect Park for the extension of Mountain View Cemetery. And this is, I think, our first public presentation, but we've had numerous presentations with the town of Shrewsbury, both with Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, and now with the Board of Health. And so we are seeking the approval for this use. And I don't know if there are other questions, but that's the brief. And let me know if there's other things we can add or Dom from our team can address.
Okay, please stand by. We'll now open it up to the public for any questions or comments. So I'm going to make a recommendation for a few ground rules before we start. So we'll say, in the interest of time, please note that for anyone wishing to make a statement, please complete the sign-in sheet. So that's located at the entrance to the room, so that we know who you are and who's attending the meeting. Before addressing the Board of Health, we hope you've familiarized yourself with the project. In addressing the Board of Health, please identify yourself by name and address and any professional affiliation that you might have. All comments or questions should be addressed to the chair. Members of the public are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes each so that everyone who wishes to speak could do so. Please be considerate of those who speak, whether you agree or disagree with them, and refrain from commenting out of turn. Thank you for your cooperation. With that, I'll open it up to anyone who might wish to make comments or ask questions.
Hey, Paulo.
Mira, you on this?
No, she told me to get on at 8:15.
8:15?
Yeah, because they're doing the public hearing first, and that's not for me.
Okay, all right, bye.
Where are you? Are you there?
I'm in the office. All right, I'm about to head in there. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Wait a minute. I'm not hearing.
Mr. Dennis, your audio is live.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm on, but I'm not hearing it. So
they may have muted you.
okay.
You know, is your mute on or off? Can you see?
Yeah. So,
Was the gentleman going to provide a presentation, or we're just?
Would you like to see some slides or
I
something? Please.
texted her.
Yeah. So my name's Ajmal Mirza. I
to
live
make
at
sure.
47 Prospect Street.
Okay.
I joined on, and then
Do you want
it
to come up
sounded
to the
like
microphone
they
just so
didn't want
that we record
anybody
you?
on.
Are we able
Could-
to
could we-
mute Amelia?
okay. All right, Mina.
I
Bye.
texted them and told them
Okay,
to
all right.
stop talking.
Can you kick him out?
No.
I apologize for
Yeah,
the
that's fine.
interruption. All right. Could you just restate your name and address?
Yeah, my name's Ajmal Mirza. I just moved into 37 Prospect Street, which is going to be abutting the proposed cemetery, and I just wanted to learn more about the buffer zone, and are they going to add any vegetation? Is there, leeway in extending the buffer zone? Because 50 feet is not a whole lot of space, especially if they're not adding additional vegetation, because it's very sparse right now. I mean,
Got it.
50 feet is from the back of that room to you, and I could see your eyes from there, right?
Got it. Thank you very much. Absolutely. So will the representative from BSC, would you mind sharing a couple of
Sure.
slides with
Yes.
the diagram so
Yes.
that our citizens could?
Let me, so I think the first thing, let me share my slides and you can tell me, let me do this from beginning and, oh wait, let me do this first. I'm trying to get used to your interface here. You guys don't see my screen yet, correct?
Not yet.
Cancel. All right, let me do this again. Select the screen. I'm trying to get to the right screen. Entire window. Let's go to here. Here we go. Okay.
There we go.
Can folks see that now?
Yes.
Can people see that?
If
Okay,
this-
great. So, all right. So, I think number one, BSC has embarked on this expansion not because what we're trying to create is a cemetery that looks like what is already existing at Mountain View. This cemetery actually was specifically designed to be a landscape-focused cemetery. So as you can see, you see the existing Mountain View Cemetery here, which has been clear cut of trees, and the tombstones are kind of aligned in sort of regimented rows. The approach to Mountain View Cemetery is completely different. And so it's a landscape focused cemetery. In this slide, you see the comparison of the proposed layout plan for Mountain View and the existing mountain that's on the right-hand side of the Boylston Street and the existing Mountain View Cemetery on the right-hand side. You can also see at the bottom edge the sort of 50-foot buffer that we're planting. So currently that buffer is, let me continue. This is the kind of overall limits of the cemetery, and I'm assuming you live somewhere down here, but overall, it's only 19 acres, and the intent is to have it be more kind of landscape focus. We have provided, let me show the next slide. Here is the kind of the burial here, and this is the zone that will be for burial. But as you can see, one of the things that we're doing is we're saving a significant amount of the existing vegetation, and those are the things that look like clouds, and then we're adding vegetation throughout. And then here in this slide, you can see the buffer. And so I think, let me see if I can zoom in. This is the buffer here, and so there's quite a bit of native evergreen and deciduous plantings that are being planted within a 50-foot zone, so that essentially the views to the cemetery will be very limited. And because of the way the cemetery is getting developed, it's not like the area beyond the 50 feet will be clear cut. It will be actually very sensitively managed. Next slide. Let's see if I can progress. So here you go. There's the different entrances. And then let me get to the slide for the planting. Here is the proposed plantings and tree buffer. So as you can see, and maybe I could zoom in if you guys can do this. Let me go here and do from the view slideshow from current slide. Here we go. That's a little bigger. Can you guys see that a little better now? It's a little bigger.
I
But
don't
you can
believe
see
it's on slideshow yet.
You don't see it? Okay, let me share again, let me share the screen, stop sharing. Let me share this again. Select the tab window. Here we go. Share.
We saw
Okay.
it. We saw it. It just wasn't. Yes. So if you.
Yeah, okay, that one. It looks like if I switch to views, you're going to lose it. But what you see here is a significant amount of buffer planting. So what the town is proposing is there's also a lot of invasive plant material there. So the town is actually proposing to remove dead and invasive plant material and then add a fairly significant 50-foot buffer so that views from the adjacent properties will be screened into what is essentially a landscape cemetery. So that's the kind of key feature. And as you can see, this also shows the proposed plantings. And so there's a fair amount of vegetation between the edge of your property line and where the cemetery will begin, and then the 50-foot buffer, and then a cemetery development that is meant to be more landscape focused. I hope this addresses the question. That's it. I'll see if I have other slides, but I'll stop my share and we can continue the dialogue.
Yes, that addresses the question. Thank you. I did have one other question.
Please.
So I heard from my neighbor that there was a proposal to park the equipment right behind our property as well. Is that decision still?
Okay. So yeah, that's fair enough. So good. I'm glad you asked that. Let me share my screen again. So no, that was actually, that was changed after consequent, so based on community feedback. Let's see, can you see my?
Yes.
My screen. Okay, no, that's a great concern, but that was an earlier version from 3 years ago, and based on community input from folks like yourselves, the maintenance building is going to be off of Boylston Street. So all that will be, even within 200 feet of your house, will be a small, and this will be designed by an architect that the town will be contracting with, a small kind of just a sales office, which will be discrete in a very small parking lot for electric vehicles and regular parking, and that's it. The maintenance vehicle, if you see my cursor, is to the extreme left, just off of Boylston Street, adjacent to the existing cemetery.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there other questions or comments or concerns?
Are the plans for that accessible?
Would you be so kind as to come up
Sorry.
to the table, just so that you're audible and everyone hears you? Please, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself and your address? Please sit.
Oh, okay. My name is Pam San Clemente, 137 North Quinsigamon. I'm not in a butter, but I'm just wondering, are those plans accessible online? Because I have another member of my family that would like to view it, and also my mother-in-law who are unable to make the meeting. Is that something that can be accessed online?
It's on the website,
Is it
under the planning board.
under the planning board? I'm sorry, I'm new to this, so.
That's okay.
That's
That's all right.
So, thank you. That's it.
Right.
Thank you.
Anyone else who might want to ask questions or anything still unresolved? Want to be respectful of all your time. Hearing nothing further, I think we will be concluding this public hearing about this project. And thank you for everyone who is here for that, for your questions, your concerns, and your thoughtful comments. We appreciate all your feedback and grateful for your time and your presence here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, are we free to adjourn in terms of the BSE group?
Not yet. Now you can make them.
You can, yes. So I'll make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
No, you gotta make a motion to vote.
Oh, to vote on the approval of that.
Yeah,
All right, so,
sorry.
pardon me. All right, I'll make a motion to vote on the project.
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Abraham votes aye, so it's unanimous. The Board of Health approves the project. And with that, we'll close the public hearing. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
All right, Abraham votes aye. The public hearing is now closed. Thank you all for your time and your presence here. You're welcome
Thank you.
to
Thank you
log
very
off
much.
now.
for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Now you can
Start the
call
Board of Health.
the
All right.
regular. Yep, thank you.
I'll now call to order the Board of Health meeting for the town of Shrewsbury. Today, September 25th, and the time is 8:19 a.m. We'll call the meeting to order. First, I'd like to welcome Ms. Emily Walker as our newest member of the Board of Health. Ms. Walker is an occupational therapist, but I'll have her introduce herself because we wouldn't do justice to all her qualifications if we were to try to introduce that. Ms. Walker, welcome.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. I've been a resident of Shrewsbury for a few years now and looking to really serve the town. I have the best interest for the health and wellness of our town here. As an occupational therapist with a master's in occupational therapy as well as a bachelor's in occupational science, I come qualified as a licensed and registered occupational therapist, serving quite a diverse population across the lifespan, serving adults, children, and with a primary focus on the mental health and wellness. So serving children and families currently at Luck Inc. in Fitchburg. So that's where my current role is, where I supervise a diverse team to include clinicians, occupational therapists, substance use specialists, trauma specialists, and really have focused a lot on just promoting the health and wellness and looking to apply that here in Shrewsbury. So looking forward to that. You can read my bio online as well. That's there, which I didn't quite prepare something for this, but yeah, that's also accessible online to learn more about me, but happy to connect with others to share more about my experience and my passion for the health and wellness of the town. Thank you.
Wonderful. We're delighted to have you, and thank you for
Welcome,
for
Emily.
Yes, welcome. Yes.
Thank you.
I'd also like to congratulate Ms. Karen Rosacci, who's now acquired a doctorate in nursing practice, and so wonderful. That's
Thank you.
well accomplished. And,
Congratulations.
it's been a wonderful addition to the Board of Health. Our next agenda item is reviewing and acting on designating a new permanent chairman for the Board of Health. Ms. Rosacci.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Dr. George Abraham as the next chairman for the Board of Health for the town of Shrewsbury.
Ms. Walker.
I would also make that recommendation.
Great. So, motion. Ms. Rosacci, are you making the motion?
Yes.
Ms. Walker, would you support that?
Yes, I would support
Yes.
that.
All right. Abraham votes aye as well, so unanimously. George Abraham is the new chair of the Board of Health. We have minutes of the August 23rd meeting from the Board of Health. If there are no amendments, we'll entertain a motion to accept them as written.
I second
Ms.
that.
Rosacci, okay. Ms.
Yep, and I
Walker?
third that motion.
All right, Abraham is also aye, and so the minutes are approved as written. The next agenda item is the Elder Services of Worcester area requesting a variance pursuant to 105 CMR 590 for the state sanitary code for food establishments. Is there someone representing the ESWA here?
Good morning.
Good morning, thank you for joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for having us. My name is Maggie Woodward. I'm the Director of Finance at Elder Services of Worcester, and Lisa Kipex, our Executive Director, is also here this morning. So we do thank you for inviting us this morning. So as I think you're aware, Elder Services of Worcester, we provide the congregate and home delivered meals for older adults in the town of Shrewsbury. We've had this relationship for many years, and it's really been a great and beneficial relationship. A question did come up recently at one of our sites regarding the food safety certification. And how it has traditionally been is that we have, the caterer has the full ServSafe, the food certification manager, as well as supervisors on our staff. The dining managers who work at the site have had Executive Office of Elder Affairs approved curriculum, which isn't the full ServSafe, but it is administered by someone who has the full certification, and there's a test after that, and that has always sufficed. But a question came up, and the state provided us with a program instruction from a number of years ago saying that we needed a variance in order to do this. But I may be coming to you saying that I'm pulling that request for a variance because we actually got updated information that the 2018 code was updated, and there is an exception to the full certification specifically, and it actually names elder nutrition programs in the CMR under which we operate. So I do feel that we are in compliance and don't need a variance, but I still did want to use this opportunity since, we did make it to ensure the Board of Health, is in agreement with that and didn't have any other questions or concerns. And, we, again, want to ensure that we're in full compliance with what we need to do.
So fair to state that based on the current updated CFR, you really don't need a variance approval from the Board of Health?
That is my understanding, yes.
Do either of our board members have any other questions? Looks like our task is relatively easy. We don't need to do anything. Great. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your presence and we appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for all that you do for our senior citizens. Great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is to review and discuss pesticide spraying. Ms. Julie Burris of 6 Catalina Drive, Shrewsbury, had requested for a 5-minute or less conversation with the board. Ms. Burris, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Make yourself comfortable.
I will.
Please go ahead.
I'm gonna even time myself, so prepared. Good morning. Thank you so much. This is actually my first time speaking to the board, but I haven't actually. But I've been to board meetings before. So I wanted to talk about the pesticide spraying, and all of these people are here for me. So I'm speaking on behalf of them and a lot of people that couldn't be here because the timing of the public health meetings is very difficult for parents and people that have to work. So I do live in Shrewsbury. So in the 50s and 60s, we sprayed DDT, and it took 3 decades to figure out how bad it was, serious harm it was doing to people and the environment, and finally stop it. And I'm sure the pesticides we're spraying today are not as toxic as DDT, but they're still a toxic pesticide, right? And recently there was a first of its kind population study just came out analyzing pesticide, and I have that for you, across 3,000 counties in the United States that found that aggregate pesticide use, which is what we're doing, regularly spraying, increases risk of cancer. And that increased risk, and I'm going to quote the study, was on par with or more significant than the effects of smoking. So this is a new study, and I do have it, and I'll submit it. So the regular mosquito spraying program that we're part of is increasing the number of pesticides, and they're not just one pesticide, they're in combination with other pesticides, and we don't know what that's doing to the environment, and it's likely increasing our risk of cancer. And the saddest part of that is our kids are the most vulnerable. So I looked up the pesticides in Shrewsbury, and we're using, and the MSDS sheets, right? And there's Zenavex is what it's called, and it has another name, Entofenprox. And it's highly toxic to bees, fish, and aquatic invertebrates, moderately toxic to earthworms and algae. It says it has a low oral toxicity to humans, and no chronic health impacts have been identified. But just because something isn't identified doesn't mean that it isn't toxic. If you don't study it, you won't find the results, right? So, and it says, however, there are concerns that it may pose a risk to breastfed children. That's our children. So it says it's hazardous to human and animals on another one. And although it says it's not listed as a carcinogen, again, it's not tested. And it also says in the test it targets the livers and the thyroids in the rats. So in the rat studies. So and it also says, one of the other ones says, do not allow to enter sewers, surface, or groundwater. We're spraying our town. It's definitely getting in the sewer. These are in their own sheets. So we're given precautions that are impossible to follow because we don't know when the trucks are coming. The schedule is really complicated, and I know they're actually working on that and trying to fix it, but there's no way to know when that truck is coming, and they tell you to close your windows and shut off your air conditioner, but how can we know? And I also know that there is an opt-out, but are they really stopping the trucks from one house to another? I mean, maybe they are, I don't know. And then if they're spraying the house next to you, isn't it just blowing onto your own thing? And it says, don't let children play near or behind the truck, or your pets should be brought inside. But we have no way of knowing when these trucks are coming around. And this has been happening for years. We're part of the community. I mean, I'm sure you know this. So there's an opt-out, right? But it's, again, unrealistic. And it also says the Commissioner of Public Health has certified that it's to protect the public health, then they can spray anyway. So you really can't opt out if they're saying it's for equine encephalitis. It also says, is it okay to spray it on my garden? And it says, well, any concerns you have can be alleviated by washing your vegetables before you eat them. But then it says, what happens if it rains? And it says, these products are oil-based and not washed off by the rain. And this is all from their own website. So it's very conflicting data. I'm aware that the news reports of Triple E and West Nile are a concern, but 4 people tested positive on a PCR test, which I think we know that PCR tests are, well, what we learned from COVID is they're not meant to diagnose. They can be flawed. So a few people, I don't know how many people, you guys probably know the numbers of people that tested positive. But so based on a few people testing positive, we're blanket spraying for mosquitoes. And I just think that with this new study that's out and the MDS sheets, maybe we want to reconsider this. As a we're regular, what are we doing to our environment? I also, when I was preparing for this, I hope I can have just one extra minute, that last week I heard the infectious disease report, and the nurse said that they were recommending the new COVID vaccine for children as young as 6 months old and pregnant women. I work in the health rights movement, and I work with vaccine injured people all the time, and what I am hearing about the COVID vaccine, the injury and the death that's associated with it, it's very alarming that we're recommending it. And like Joe Ladapo, who's the Surgeon General in Florida, I have his letter, and I'm going to just submit this information to you. I would love to come back and talk about it in the next meeting next month, and I want to just submit this information, and maybe then we could discuss it, because he is saying his recommendations, the importance of remaining up to date with the current literature related to COVID-19 vaccines and booster. They're not recommending it. They're recommending informed consent. And he called out the government for not providing any information about the known serious side effects like spike protein circulation, myocarditis, POTS, respiratory infection, autoimmune disease, a whole host of things. And meanwhile, our Mass DPH is recommending it for pregnant women and children as young as 6 months old. And so I really feel like we need to start stepping back and maybe looking at some of that data before we continue to recommend this to our children. So I would like to submit to you Joe Lapido's, report. I also have a book for you called Cause Unknown, written by Ed Dowd, who's a hedge fund manager, and he wrote all about this is about the dangers of the COVID vaccine. I would love for you guys to just take a look and give it some serious consideration. These are stories of people from Massachusetts that were harmed by the COVID vaccine. So this was a book that was put together. So I would like to submit all that information to you. I would love to come back to the next meeting, and maybe we can answer some of these questions or have an open conversation about that. Is that a possibility?
Would you mind sending a written request, and then
Oh,
let's
of
address
course,
that,
yes,
and then we'll
yes.
address it
Okay.
to you offline?
I do have one more question, because all of these people are here, and thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate it. Because I am speaking for them, but can you explain to the people of Shrewsbury what the process is for signing up to speak at public meeting, so that they all know? Because I didn't really know. This is pretty new for me. I talk at the legislature and state all the time, but I've never really come to talk to you guys about my concerns. So I would like to start doing that, and I would love to know I would love everyone to know what the process is to sign up.
Carrie, did you want to comment?
Yeah, so basically, anybody can submit in writing or call or swing by the office to request to be placed on the agenda. It is up to the chair to set the agenda.
Okay.
And this is a Board of Health meeting, a regular Board of Health meeting, not a public hearing.
Right.
Like we just had prior. So, yeah.
Can we ask for a public hearing on a particular topic like this, or is that just get on the agenda and?
I would recommend to the board just to have, a person just like yourself, just request to be on the agenda.
Okay, so just email the Board of Health
I can
and
tell you, we could
request?
talk about COVID till we're blue in the face.
Yeah.
Being the single point of contact for the town of Shrewsbury for 40,000 residents during a pandemic was very interesting, and it can be extremely volatile.
Mhm.
And
Oh, I know.
am very, if we're gonna go down that route,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It would have to be very controlled. I can tell you that.
Okay. I mean, I just wanted to know what the process was. I'm not.
And also to stay on topic. If
Yeah.
you're gonna talk about, like, you wanted to talk about pesticides today, now you're using it as a platform to talk about COVID.
Well, I just wanted to
Because-
submit this information for next
because-
time.
And that's fine, and if you would wanna email it or make.
Yeah, I'll email you
That would
all
be
of this,
fine.
actually. I have a folder.
But on
that
the
I'll give you.
agenda,
Uh-huh.
we have to be specific about what the rest of the general public can anticipate speaking to. Because if it was on the agenda to talk about COVID as well, there might be more people that would have wanted to come.
Okay, well, I would like to talk about it next week. This is just submitting information.
Yep, I'll
That's
be
okay.
glad to take copies of that
Just to
and provide it
clarify,
to the board.
we're not meeting next week, but.
I mean,
we're
next
talking
month, next
meeting.
month. Yes, you mean
And I
next
also want
month,
to clarify,
yes.
there's no town mandate about COVID vaccination, so, essentially, you're welcome to speak, but beyond that, there will be no
I
decision.
know there was no mandate, but I heard her recommend, like, she said they were highly recommending them for pregnant women as soon as
That's the
possible and children.
State's
and-
public health recommendations,
Yeah.
that's basically what's being, was reported by our public health nurse, that they would be required to. That's just, it's still a recommendation.
Well, she did say they were, vaccinating people in all the shelters and all that stuff. So I just think we should be looking at all of this information.
Sure,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here
Appreciate
today. Great.
I'm just going to give you this and.
Right, we'll now talk about the communicable disease update. Mr. Dennis?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman. My apology, I couldn't be in person. I'm having the flu today, so I'm in my office. Congratulations on being voted at the chairmanship for the town. Welcome the new board member as well.
Thank you.
Thank you
I will
very
ask my
much.
colleague, Amelia Halton, Chief of Public Health Nurse, to give an update.
Ms. Horton, are you on the line?
Amelia, you muted.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Amelia Houghton, Chief of Public Health Nursing. Just going to give you a quick update on communicable diseases over the last month. It seems like we've had a slight uptick in COVID cases, and really, from July to August, it's just a matter of 10 cases. And obviously, as you know, these are reported cases, not including tests that are done at home. So the number could be larger than we know. And this makes sense with the reported wastewater data as well. We haven't had any measles cases. There's been a general uptick in pertussis, but not in our area here. We've had, I think, one major outbreak at a nursing and rehab, COVID outbreak that is, which quickly got under control. And we really haven't had much else. We've had one dengue fever, and that was due to travel. And in terms of arboviruses, Shrewsbury remains moderate for West Nile virus risk and low for triple E, Eastern equine encephalitis. And that is continuously monitored and surveilled until the first killing frost. So we will continue to give out reports weekly until that period arrives. That's really it in terms of the communicable diseases, unless anybody has any questions.
Our pertussis rates continue to be low. There were reports of increases in pertussis in the year.
Yes, there's an uptick here and there. Like in our area here, Shrewsbury, we haven't had any reported ones last month.
Okay.
Amelia, have you seen any cases of flu A or B yet?
We've seen very little flu, because like COVID, you'd have to go get tested and it has to be reported. A lot of times, if people are sick or kids are sick, they tend to stay home and not interact with a clinic or a provider. So I suspect that number will change over the next month or two.
Agree. Our experience in hospital also is, and I'm sure you've seen the same, is sporadic activity of flu extremely low right now, but generally peaks around December through February, March. So you see that. Other questions for Ms. Horton?
And Amelia, in terms of availability of flu and COVID vaccines, does the Public Health Office have those available?
What I have available is COVID and flu vaccines for the uninsured and for children. But there are many free clinics around, and if that's of interest, I can submit a list of clinics and pharmacies in Shrewsbury that offer those vaccines to people who are insured.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Walker, any further questions?
No further questions, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Horton.
Thank
and
you.
then updates from the Central Mass Regional Public Health Alliance. Mr. Dennis?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. At this time, I will ask my colleague, Ms. Emma, to give an update on the inspection and services work. Emma?
Good morning. Since our last meeting, we conducted 67 inspections. There have been 4 inspections conducted by our Title V contractor as well for septic. We are staying busy with well over 20 new restaurants that are coming to town. Each new establishment does require what's called a health plan review, which is a very in-depth review of the policies and procedures that each establishment will put into place, as well as the general flow of the restaurant and specifications of the equipment that is being used. So that can, I work with the owners as well as contractors and plumbers to make sure that we're following all of the recommendations by the food code. We are also staying very busy with fall festivals that are coming up as well. We did have one at St. Mary's a few weeks ago. We do have Shrewsbury, why am I blanking on the name?
Spirit of Shrewsbury?
Spirit of Shrewsbury, thank you. We do have Spirit of Shrewsbury this coming weekend, as well as Hebert's Fall Festival, and I believe the following weekend is the Pioneer Festival. So there are a lot of activities around food happening in the town of Shrewsbury, so we're working to conduct those inspections and stay on top of everything as best as possible.
Great, thank you. Questions for Emma?
No questions,
Thank you.
Emma, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Right, we'll review our meeting schedule. Our next, Carrie, our next meeting is October 16th, Wednesday, at 8 a.m.
Yes.
Okay, you have that, and Carrie also another meeting with, is there any other agenda item that you want to bring up?
No, I don't have
No further
any.
items.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.